Okay, good morning, everybody. If we could continue to follow the usual format for the press conference, please. If you wish to ask a question, please raise your hand. We will then promote you from an attendee to a panelist. We're just waiting on our cameraman to get ready to go.
Yeah.
All good?
Yeah.
Okay, Ben, if you're able to kick us off, please, from Sky.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Morning, Dean.
Morning, Ben.
Can I start by asking you about team news? Do you have anyone either available or unavailable that is different from the midweek match?
Josh Sargent is now available. He trained yesterday. Ozan Kabak hasn't trained yet. And Andrew Omobamidele had a bit of a setback in training, so he's still feeling his back. So he's not available either.
And you're currently on your kind of best run of form of the season, I suppose. What do you notice day to day that's different from perhaps, say, I don't know, December when you were struggling to get a win? What's different around the training ground, around the group right now?
Probably about 14 different players are actually training now than there were before. December was a real tough period for us. We were just about getting 5-a-sides going. So we've got players back to health, back to fitness, and, with a bigger squad, there's more quality at our disposal. And, I think getting a couple of wins has also helped the confidence grow as well. And, that inner belief has grown as well.
Does it make your job easier when, with every single point, every single win that you get, that you see perhaps a growth of belief in the squad?
Yeah, I've seen a growth over the last month, I suppose. There were a group that weren't used to being asked questions. They're now, in the meetings that we have, they're a lot more vocal than they were when we first came in, which is really good because, we're all about trying to get better, learning, but I also need to know what they know and what they understand before we can actually go and teach them as well. So, but there's been a growth within the group, helped by the return of our captain, Grant Hanley, who missed a few games with injury after getting injured against Manchester United. And, I think his leadership skills have helped progress the group.
It doesn't come much tougher, I guess, than leaders Manchester City this week. Thomas Frank in the week said they're the best team in the world. I wondered, do you agree with that assessment?
They're a very good team, but I'm not going to anger Pep again by suggesting they're the best team in the world. But they're certainly up there, aren't they? They're a very good team. We've littered with stars all over the place, and whatever team they put out, it's going to be a challenge.
Dean Smith denies Man City are the best team in the world. Is that fair?
I'm not sure that's fair either. They're a very, very good team.
In all seriousness, Dean, how do you prepare for a side like Man City? I mean, Norwich have been on the receiving end of obviously a big loss to them, but then a couple of years ago you managed to beat them as a group. And how do you prepare for this side and the challenges that they pose?
Yeah, well, we all know that we have to have probably 10, 11 players playing 8, 9 out of 10 performances. It's going to be a challenge because of the players they've got. But whenever there's a challenge, there's an opportunity for players as well. And, in my experience, all players want to pit themselves against the best. And they getting the opportunity to do that. So I believe my players are looking forward to it. Hopefully we can then go and get the right performance and have a bit of fortune go our way as well.
Is it the case of approaching it a bit like a cup game, a bit like a shot to nothing almost, or do you have to be a little bit more more belief perhaps that you can go in and compete and even get something?
No, I think there has to be that belief that you can go and compete and get something where, it's 11 human beings against 11 human beings. And, we know that human beings have faults in them and can make mistakes, and our job is to try and make them make mistakes. They make fewer, as everybody knows, over the years watching them, but we've got to find some kind of weaknesses that we can put pressure on them.
And just finally on the strategy, I guess, I mean, Pep's been talking the last week or so about their defensive stats and capabilities, and it all comes, of course, from them having the ball and denying the opposition. I mean, how do you come up with a strategy to try and get the ball more than they perhaps want you to have it, but also when you've got it to try and use it as best you can?
Well, we've recently gone 4-4-2 and given up an extra man in midfield, which has probably cost us more possession of the ball in the last few games. But we've become more of a potent threat, to the opposition, always leaving two players around their centre half, so people can't advance as much. So there's different ways you can go and play the game. We're not sure what we're going to do against City yet, although we've got our plan that we're obviously not going to give anybody a heads up on. But the challenge is simple. You've got to be better than your opposite number who you're up against. You've got to work extremely hard. There's no substitute for that, but you've got to show quality on the ball when you've got that.
Top stuff, Dean. Thank you. Best of luck.
Cheers, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Niv, over to you, please.
Morning, Dan. Dean, good to see you. Hope you're well.
Yeah, good, thank you.
The games against Wolves and Palace in the last 2 days, was it, from your point of view, another evidence of how resilient your team can be?
Yeah, I think we've had the ball in the last couple of games. We've looked really good. We've restricted both teams, Wolves and Crystal Palace, to not big chances. The shots they've had have been from areas where we would expect our defenders to get blocks or our goalkeeper to save. So, from that point of view, it's been good. But we also know we need to improve, our possession stats and what we do with the ball as well.
We saw the Burnley result at home against United and how Newcastle won against Everton really impressively. How would you assess the relegation battle at the moment?
To be honest, I take no notice of the other teams around us because I can't control what they do. What's important to me is what we do. Because we've got to play Newcastle, Burnley and Brentford all at home. And they're the sort of games where, this battle would be decided. We've got great belief in what we do, and we've got great belief we can take points in every game we play as well.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, Niv. Tom Williams from the BBC, please. Tom.
Morning, Dean.
Morning, Tom.
There I am. Yeah, there I am. Great. Dean, there was the feeling, possibly against the big teams earlier in the season, that Norwich were beaten even before they'd set foot on the field. How do you go about changing that mentality?
That mentality won't be in our dressing room going into the game for sure, because I think the players have earned the right now to become a team that's hard to beat. They work extremely hard. Their resilience. They give less chances away, less big chances away. So, whether we're playing Watford, Crystal Palace or Manchester City, it's the next game and one that we'll be trying to go and win.
How do you go about trying to give Man City a problem?
We've got to show better quality on the ball than we did in midweek, but we have shown better quality over the last few weeks. We've got some big players who are coming back to fitness now, the likes of Billy Gilmore, Matthias Norman, just to name a couple. And having that strength in depth now certainly makes us a little bit more potent. But we know it's a big challenge against Manchester City, and when we do have the ball, we've got to be certainly a lot better than we were in the week.
How positive do you feel you can be against a team like Man City? I guess if you give them a problem, if you can play on the front foot, is that a good thing? I mean, I suppose the danger is if you're too negative, which Norwich certainly early in the season were against these big teams, at some point they're going to pick you off.
Yeah, I mean, the quality of their players they've got, they've picked off an awful lot of teams, and stronger teams as well. So, it'd be remiss to go all out attack against a team like Manchester City, but you can't just be sitting ducks and allow, some of the top players they've got the time and space to go and hurt you. So we'll be aggressive where we feel we can be aggressive, but, we'll use the ball well as well, and that's important.
And on Teemu Pukki, undoubtedly Norwich's main man, has been for 2 or 3 years now. He did have chances, didn't he, against Palace during the week to give you, a 2-3 goal advantage, which probably would have made all the difference. We know how important goals are. How's he doing? Do you have any doubts about him? Is it just goes to show that no one's ever the finished article? There's always work to be done.
No, he's brilliant. From the first moment we came in, his work ethic, his attitude, his professionalism has been brilliant. He's been a few games without a goal, so really pleased that he scored after 35 seconds. And, he'll probably be disappointed that he probably didn't get another. I think most of our chances went to him on the night. But there's nobody I'd want the chances to go to more than him, because he's more than capable of taking them, as probably we all saw it in the last time we beat Manchester City at Norwich.
Great stuff. Thanks, Dean.
Cheers, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Jim.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, Jim, you okay?
Right. Yes. Buoyed by some positivity, as everyone's been talking about this week. Can I just check on Josh and Ozan? Was it nothing COVID related with them? Just an illness bug, or?
It could have been COVID related, but I'm not allowed to say, Jim, unfortunately.
Okay. But so Ozan is not available for selection at the moment.
No, Ozan's not available, but Josh is.
Okay. They often say that you need a little bit of luck in football for things to go your way, and they certainly did with that with the penalty from Zaha. Do you feel now maybe that could be a turning point, that Norwich could feel that the luck is going with them? There was a VAR call as well, which previously seemed to have gone against Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, we beat Everton 2-1 a few weeks ago, and not much was said about it, but the Everton goal was offside, and since I've had the referees report back, they've apologised because it should have been disallowed. But as you say, there are results can be made and given on marginal things that happen in a game. So you need that little bit of luck at times. You need that little bit of fortune. What you can't do is control what other people do. And I keep saying to the players, be in control of your own performance, because that's the only thing that you can go and control. And if you go and do that, you give yourselves the best chance of getting a result.
It's that mindset, isn't it? That the old saying, hard work can beat talent when talent doesn't work hard. So I guess the guys just have to make sure they absolutely, as you said, focused on their own game and not whether they're going up against Raheem Sterling or Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, I mean, and I've echoed this quite a few times. They're a really honest bunch of lads here. Really do work hard. They just had to have a little bit more belief in the quality that they've got. And I think just getting a few results has started to give them that belief and the confidence. And I think we look a really good unit at the moment. We look really well organised. We restrict the opposition, whoever it is, and hopefully we can do more of the same on Saturday. But there's a balance, because we know we can't give up that much possession against all teams, because some with the quality they've got can hurt you more than others. So that balance is being better on the ball, and we've certainly got players who can be better.
You said you've sensed the difference in the team now from and the group from when you and Craig arrived. Does it now feel like this is your squad rather than one which you inherited?
Yeah, I feel there's been a growth, and they understand what myself and Shaky are after. And Liam, come to that, Liam Bramley, who's come in to work with us as well. They understand what we want. And that's to keep improving individually and collectively. So we're starting to hear a lot more voices within the dressing room now. And that's really important to move on and move forward.
That's great. Best of luck, Dean. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Cheers, Jim. James.
Hi, Dean. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, James.
Dean, I think this will be the first time you come up against Jack Grealish since you worked together at Aston Villa. What have you made of his start to life at Man City?
Well, Jack's a top player, as everybody knows. British record transfer fee of 100 million. So he's going to be a top player. I think he's shown moments at Manchester City. I think, and I still speak to Jack quite regularly. He wants to find more consistency, within the team there. But he's playing amongst a glitter of star players there, and he's one of them himself.
Do you get the impression that he's enjoying it there? It's a very different role from, I guess, being the main man at Aston Villa. He's now got a number of stars, as you said, alongside him. Yeah,
no, he's enjoying it. He's enjoying the experience of being amongst as I say, the star players that are there, but also working with the likes of Pep Guardiola as well, and you know, he's learning more and more. But he's a top talent and a top lad as well. And anybody who has worked with him will tell you that. And I saw a video of him the other day, you know, stopping and signing a shirt for somebody. He does that all the time, but unfortunately, he doesn't. People don't want to see sit and write in the press about him doing stuff like that.
And finally, I just wanted to ask you about the really positive momentum you've got at the moment. There's a real good feeling. How do you protect that over the next 2 games? Because there will be times where you're going to have to suffer.
Yeah, we have to work the other side of hard. The players know that, they understand that. But we're only looking at this one game against Man City. We're not looking any further than that. You know, and yeah, we might have to suffer without the ball, but as long as the ball is going where we can channel it, then we can be good without the ball. You can be in control of the game without the football, and we've been good at that in recent weeks. We just need to make sure that we do a little bit more with the football. You know, so we're looking forward to the game. It's going to be a challenge, but we're full of respect for them, but certainly not fear.
Brilliant. Cheers, Dean.
Thanks.
Cheers, James. John.
Hi, Dean. Nice to see you.
Yeah, and you, John.
Could you give us a little bit of insight in what it was like to be a manager able to pick a player like Jack Grealish, and what is it like when you got the phone call saying we're selling him for 100 million quid?
Listen, it was wonderful working with him. You know, he's the best player I've worked with. He's, you know, got immense talent. You know, and a little sign of you know, his mentality as well was, I think I'd been at the club for about 6 months, and at Aston Villa, I said in the press that he's one of the best players I've worked with. And he came to see me the following morning, and he'd obviously watched my interview, and he wanted to know who the other players were who were as good as him. But it wasn't him being big-headed, but because he just got that hunger and desire to be the best and want to get better. You know, so it was wonderful working with him. We had a great relationship and still have as well. He's from a wonderful family, you know, and you know, it's hard to lose your best player, but I fully understood. You know, we needed to move that to that next level, and although we'd progressed at Aston Villa at the time, we probably wasn't at the level he needed to be now.
You touched on this yourself. You must have had some other phone calls saying, "Oh God, what's he done now?" The off-field things, the scrapes he gets into. Is that part and parcel of him? No, because as I said earlier, the more phone calls were the praise for him for what he's done for disadvantaged people. You know, Acorns Hospice for what he's just one that, you know, he spent an awful lot of time with. He's a real family guy. But you know, people can make one mistake and have it shoved down their throats. Unfortunately, if you make 3 or 4 as a top professional footballer, you get tarnished with it a little bit. But that's far removed from the person that I know. Were you a bit surprised that City came in for him? Because he doesn't. I don't know whether you think this is true or not, but it's been said that he's not quite a City player. He doesn't play the same way that they do. No, not at all. I mean, it didn't surprise me at all. City are a top football team with a top coach who wanted him. You know, so you know, who am I to argue with Pep Guardiola? If he wants him in his team, then there's reason for that, and the reason is because he's a good player. Sorry, last one for me. You mentioned the win 2 years ago. Have you had a look at the video? Because it was an absolutely extraordinary performance. Yeah, it was. I remember the game. City. I remember the game, and I was only talking to Stuart Webber about it the other day because I remember watching the game, and you know, Norwich were under an awful lot of pressure, but when they actually won the ball back, they actually used it really well, and that's what I said. That's the balance that we have to find that will help us tomorrow. Brilliant. Thanks so much, and good luck.
Thanks, John. Michael.
Good morning, Dan, morning, Dean. Just a couple from me. Matthias Norman, is he kind of close to being able to start when you see him, or do you feel like he's still working his way back? He was out for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's been out for a while. Obviously, he had an operation, so he's getting back to the fitness that's required. This game might be too soon to come and go and start him, but I'll have one last look at him today. But he's certainly heading in the right direction, and the last couple of games now he's had 30 minutes and 20 minutes and, looked good when he's come on.
We might say that anyway to keep Man City guessing, but I'll take it at face value. Lucas has been back but wasn't in the squad. Is he fit and available? Was that just a selection thing and waiting for him to get there?
No, he trained all week, but then after training, he just felt something. It's only very minor, but we didn't want to risk him because obviously he's got a history with some hamstring problems, so we didn't risk him.
Had he gone to Germany to get some sort of some work done with a specialist? Was that why? Was that sort of a bit of a rest and recoup, or? Yeah,
no, I think he just went it was about 6 weeks ago. Went back to Germany for the week, rest and recuperation. Really, letting he weren't going to play for another 5 or 6 weeks. So, over the Christmas period, we were working, as you know, pretty much every day. So it was the opportunity for him to go back and see his family.
Brilliant. And just finally from me, the game on Wednesday, you Craig and Liam were in quite long conversation before Billy Gilmore actually came on, and obviously that in the end he came on. Well, it could have been after 2 goals. I mean, obviously Wilfred missed the penalty, but I mean, I hate these questions, but I mean, in hindsight, would you have wanted to bring him on? Was that a really difficult decision in that moment in the game?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were trying to change it. We were talking about changing it before they actually scored the goal. But it was a tough decision on how to change it because our 2 forwards have been playing really well. Timu had been getting the chances. We didn't really want to put Adam out wide because he's been good down the middle. But we, it was probably me who did it a little bit, and we made the decision then with Shemi and put Adam wider. But we certainly needed to match it up in midfield because we was losing out, on the numbers game in there.
Brilliant. Okay, Dean, good luck. Try. Cheers.
Thanks, Michael.
Cheers, Michael. Paddy.
Morning, Dean. How are you?
Morning, Paddy. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Sun is shining. It's a good day to be alive.
It certainly is. The dog's down here. He's had an hour's walk this morning, so I feel a lot fresher now.
Good man. Good man. Just one on the squad news. You said a bit earlier, Andrew on Mohamed Daly had a bit of a setback. Is that anything moving forward beyond the weekend to be concerned about?
He's going to go and see the consultant again, so we're hoping that it's nothing too much, but it was enough to concern us to send him back to the consultant. So it is a slight worry.
Okay, no worries. You said recently there you spoke to Stuart about that September 19 when I think I counted before the press said it. You got 6 of the lads who were in the matchday squad that day still available to you. So in terms of belief, there's 6 players there in your squad who know what it takes to beat Man City. Can you draw on a little bit of that?
Yeah, we certainly can. And Timu was one of them, obviously scoring goals in the game, and he spoke about it after the game. So yeah, during our meeting we'll speak about how hard it is to go and win them games. We can talk also about our experience of beating Liverpool 7-2, who were the champions at the time when they came to Aston Villa. So it's always possible of the so-called lesser teams of beating the big guns, and we're hoping we can do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, again, it was touched on a bit earlier, but maybe there was a sense that earlier in the season when they played these sides, they didn't believe it was possible. How much do you and Shaky, for these type of games, look at the psychology of it? Those great Liverpool sides in the 70s, they used to say you were already beaten before you got to Anfield, or the United team in the 90s. Is that something you look at in terms of your build-up and your preparation, the psychology of it? Yeah, the psychology of it's always important every game you go into. I mean, there's people talking about, it's a free hit. I don't see it as a free hit because we're not in a position to have a free hit against everyone. We're fighting for every point that we can get to remain in this league. But the psychology of it's really important. If you go into the game not believing, then you're already beat. You'll have players running all over you. But if already we can show them the physical stats that we can more than compete with them physically, and then it's what we do, tactically and technically. Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's a challenge, but you're looking at it as an opportunity. But clearly, in your opinion, you've been in the game a long time. Are these as good as we've seen in the Premier League over the period in terms of the dominance? The way they're able to seemingly dominate the rest of the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's as good a team as I've seen for a long time. And I thought the Liverpool team that almost went through the season unbeaten a couple of years ago was top. And And now you've got Jurgen Klopp saying it's the best squad he's ever worked with. And then Pep Guardiola's team are 9 points clear of Liverpool. And you're like, wow, them two teams at the moment are something else.
Final one. I mean, not wanting to take you to any bad places, but you've had some pretty close tussles your last 3 with Villa. You know, the League Cup meeting, that could have gone either way. I think when you went to Man City last season, they only scored 2 late goals. Are there things, I know it's a different group of players you're working with now, but are there things from those last 3 particular meetings you've seen that maybe you can implement for this weekend with this set of players?
Yeah, we've had some really tight games with City. Thanks for reminding me. I got sent off in that game away from home. But in my defence, they did change the rule 2 days later for offside. So, they're human, and when you're playing against humans, they can make mistakes, and our job is to go and force them mistakes. And I always felt that if you could put pressure in certain points of the game, you could actually go and win it. So whenever I've faced City before, I felt that we could go and win the game, and I do so now. It's going to be tough, but we need to go and get a lot of 8 and 9 out of 10s to go and do that.
Cheers, Dean. Best of luck tomorrow. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, Paddy.
Cheers, Paddy. And finally, Rob Butler, please, from the BBC. Rob.
Thanks, Dan. Hello, Dean.
Hi, Rob. You okay?
Just go over a couple of old things that you've already spoke about. But I was interested to hear about you talking about meetings and the fact that you kind of encourage the players to sort of debate with you and stuff. It obviously was a quiet place when you first came, and things have changed. You're happy for players to kind of have it out with you and Shaky and chat it through in these meetings?
Yeah, I mean, we'll do some analysis on the games. We will debrief the games, but we'll do analysis working towards the games, and we've started to do some unit work now with the players as well. And we always encourage questions, because for me as a teacher, that's what we are as football coaches. You actually need to know what they know. And unless they ask you questions, you don't know what they know. So there's no point me putting up some patterns and then expecting them to walk out and understand it all. So we encourage questions. And it wasn't the most vocal groups when we first come in, but there's been a growth in that area. And it's one that we've encouraged and we've really enjoyed.
Does it ever get heated? I mean, obviously there was that bad run over Christmas, the games where you didn't have a lot of players back from injury, or is it always quite cordial?
No, it's not heated. And that's why I said I only have 2 minutes after the game, because that's the most emotional time. I think the next day when you review the match, you can have more of a rational approach to it, and that's what we tend to do, and have a good chat.
And just on Jack Grealish, you speak about him like, he's kind of like a proud uncle or a proud dad. I mean, he is a really important person to you. And I know you're not working with him now, and you may do again one day, but it sounds like you keep in touch. You're still friends.
Yeah, I do that with a lot of my former players as well. And, Jack being one of them, he's, as I said, he's a special talent, but he's a really, really good person as well. And unfortunately, I think sometimes, he's made mistakes that have probably tarnished him in the media's eyes at times. But for anybody who knows him as well as I have done, they won't say a bad word against him.
And that can relate to Norwich's young players, Adam Eder, Max Aarons, Josh Sargent. You can say to them, look, I helped turn Jack Grealish into a £100 million player, and that's encouraging for them from their point of view.
Yeah, I mean, all the players have talents. Jack had talents, and our job is to kind of just push them to where they can go and fulfil that potential. And certainly with Jack, it was more of a case of Jack rather than myself.
Just on Adam Eder, obviously, he's in the team now, which is something new from when you've taken over. He's playing every game. He's working hard. Fans have been really impressed with him. How pleased are you with the way Adam Eder's been playing? Yeah,
really pleased. I'll be even happier if he's produced some nice cakes today for his 21st birthday. So there's an awful lot of pressure on him today to produce for the players.
Yeah, and obviously people talk about the fact perhaps he needs more goals, but actually that work ethic that he's got on the pitch is really showing up.
Yeah, he is, and he's brought some consistency to his game now. He had three really good games on the spin. And I told him, I think it was wasn't Palace, the one before that, Wolves. I didn't think he was as good. And he needs to start building that consistency again. And I thought he did well again on Wednesday against Palace.
Just a couple on Man City. Obviously, Pep Guardiola, arguably the best manager in the world, lots of people will say. He has had an influence on other managers in the Premier League. I think that's pretty obvious because he's been such a revelation. What do you take from the way Pep Guardiola manages football teams?
Well, you just look at the way his team plays, and I won't be the only one who's tried to study what Manchester City are doing. But he's got top class players as well who can carry out their instructions. But I think he's proved time and time again what a top coach he is, and I've been fortunate to meet him a few times, and what a top bloke he is as well.
Yeah, and just on the two games, obviously, Liverpool we'll talk about next week, but they are, most people would say, impossible tasks. You're going to believe that you can do it, and I guess it's important for fans to realise if you don't get positive results in the next two, it's not all over. These aren't the games that Norwich are expected to win or even draw. No,
they're not the games that would define our season. But there are games that we go into with renewed confidence, and ones that we feel we can pull off a shocking.
Brilliant. That'll do us. Thank you very much, Dean. Good luck.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, everybody. We'll leave it there. The recording will be shared around the group very shortly. Thank you.